Alright, I'm going to work some more on this coil pot today, and I'm going to put about another probably 3 inches on here. We'll do a fast forward on that. First thing I want to do though is just talk to you about how stiff something is. So there's a little bit of flex, but it's getting stiffer, which means it's a good time for shaping and smoothing. Alright, so see I'm taking that rib, round side of that rib, and blending. Okay. Take that round side in there. This will help follow the curve. It'll help shape the whole pot a little bit more evenly. The same with this way, kind of going here and just kind of smoothing. You shouldn't really be using a sponge too much. Unless your clay is really getting dry, then you can kind of sponge it or wet it down. If it's drying out, okay, like you can't scrape it like this and get little pieces, then you need to add some wet paper towels to this project and keep it in a bag for a day or two, okay? And you check it and you make sure it's getting soft. It should still be flexible, but not something that's going to fall apart. So a little bit of flex is fine, but it's not soft, right? The new stuff is soft. This stuff should be stiffening up so it supports itself. All right, you're gonna get what I call clay boogers. That's gross, Mr. Ritty. Yeah, I know, but I call it that. I don't know why. I probably heard it somewhere. Some other weird pottery teacher in my life probably did that. And don't worry about those. You'll get rid of those eventually as this dries out and we do more scraping and cleaning and blending. Those will go away. You don't have to get out a sponge and try to wash those off or anything. It's not necessary. But basically, I'm just kind of blending and smoothing this shape. Okay. Now, if it's too soft, you're not gonna be able to hold it and do this, right? You have to keep it on the bat and be a little gentler. Okay, you'll be a little more gentle. Okay, so that's good enough for that. Alright, I'm going to roll some coils. I'm going to add some coils. Remember, the very first coil of the day should always get blended. Should always get scored and slipped, especially if your clay is drying out. If your clay is drying out, you can't attach new clay. So if your clay is drying out, you really need to spend some time getting it wet with wet paper towels. That's all, and it's not really time for you. You just add wet paper towels, put it in a bag, and let it sit. It all depends on how you've been working on it. If you haven't worked on it, so I haven't worked on this in a week, and that's why it gets pretty stiff. Even though it was in a bag and wrapped up, those bags are not 100% airtight, right? They're a little bit porous, and so some air does get in, and the clay will eventually dry out. So you have to make adjustments. All right. If your coils are too thick, right? Flatten them out. So I can start with a thick coil and then flatten it till it's a 1/4 inch. All right, but it's not going to be very big. So that's one reason I stretch them out by rolling them. All right. Make sure it's going to fit all the way around. You want them even, okay? The more even you make it, the more even your pot will be. If your coils are not even, your pot will not be very even. Okay, flatten them down till it's about a 1/4 inch. All right, something like that. All right. Just one at a time. Don't try to wrap it around like a snake. It doesn't really work that well. Okay, we're going for best pot ever. All right, so best pot ever is one even coil at a time. check your template. So this should be going in now. All right, so I'm going to just Take a little paddle. Miss Rady, we don't have paddles. That could be a tool you could make. I don't know out of what. Get creative. Have fun with it. Steal your mother's wooden spoon from the kitchen. She'll love you for that. Alright, so I'm going to just kind of give this a little tap. Notice how I keep turning it round and round and round. Gentle tapping, gentle tapping. A little less gentle because it's stiffer down here. I can be a little bit tougher on it. This will help even out coils. It'll help even out the shape. Okay, a little bit of tapping. Alright, moving on. That coil's too short. I will probably add to it. It's still soft enough. Alright, I am not going to talk anymore. I will end up speeding this up for you. Okay, so that's as far as I'm gonna get today. So right, that was like half of this pot, but it's not very big, and I know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna go any further. One, it's getting a little narrow, and the clay's pretty soft, and I don't want it to collapse on itself. I don't want it to get all out of shape, and I want to be able to do more smoothing, and it's too soft to smooth. If I start scraping with this, I'm just going to remove too much material. So I basically just want to yeah, see, I can just see it's taking too much off with the rib. So it's really not time to rib this. That comes when it's stiffer. I basically can just kind of gently tap it into shape, make sure it looks even all around. I look at the silhouette here, right? I look over at this side and I see how it's looking. If it's lopsided in one area, I might give it a little extra tap and straighten it out, and just kind of look at this thing. Anyway, just kind of blending this out. All right, but anyway, this is as far as I'm going to get today. Then next time, so I just dented it, I can take a tool and just kind of, that's the other thing you can do too. If you find you have a spot that's dented in that should come out, take something in there and just kind of push it out. It's a paintbrush, a stick. You probably can't get in there with your hand. If you could still get in there with your hand, fine. But if your coils aren't too thick, you should still have plenty of clay to work on this thing. All right, so if you're running out of clay, you need to let me know. I can set up and leave some clay behind the school for you, and you'll pick it up. All right, but at this point, you should really only be about halfway through your clay. It doesn't take. This isn't that much if you're thinning your coils. If your coils are big and thick, you're making a giant pot, you should probably start over because we're not making giant pots, right? It should be, the max should be, the height here is about 9 inches. So you should be following your template the best you can. If it's coming way out of whack, you should start over, all right? We're trying to do a quality job, not a fast job. We're taking this slow. You know, we can't make a ton of projects because I just don't have the clay materials to give to all of you because I'm not in there pugging. So we can only we're just doing the best we can. All right, but this is the stage we're at this point. I'm going to ask you to submit your works in progress by the end of the week to show me where you're at. Take care. Bye.